talk about Monday. Let's just go right through it. What did you see on the TV on Monday?
I saw a guy in Buffalo get hit, Hamlin, go to make a tackle and collapse. And I knew right away, just based on how he fell, how he collapsed, and where he got hit, I can tell this was going to be something serious. And it turned out to be something serious, unfortunately. And it was just horrifying to watch it on the field, in front of millions of people, watching on television, hundreds, or thousands of people in the stands. It was just horrifying to watch.
Now, in your estimation, because we've been going back and forth on this, on whether or not, and of course we're speculating because we're not medical professionals, but was this due to the football gods, the football hit, the collision, it was a bad hit or whatever, or did he maybe have this brought on because of the football hit?
You mean having an underlying condition? That I don't know if we know yet, but I think a few doctors have come out and said that they've seen this type of injury before and it can happen. So it's just a result of horrific timing, bad timing, and him getting, the hit in the wrong area. You can't get hit in the chest at that specific time, or it can cause you to collapse like it did for Hamlin. So it's unfortunate. But it's not something that doesn't happen. It's rare. It has happened before. I've sent you a video. I don't know if you saw it with the hockey player that it's happened to. I think it's happened in other sports like baseball as well. It's just it's a freak injury, and it's something that I'm sure most of these players have never seen before. So I'm sure it was quite scary for everyone that were on the field.
Well, this is the thing with me is that this kind of injury, having a cardiac arrest at such a young age, because he's under 25, right?
24.
So to me, it's almost like it doesn't matter what sport you play, right? Whether it's hockey, baseball, basketball, it just makes it seem like, hey, we're only humans, right? You can only do so much. I don't so much blame football. I think that, he's an athlete and he's going 100 miles an hour. He's going 100, giving it all he can. And I think that, it's just part of being a human being. I mean, I don't know, what I saw, because I didn't see him collapsing until like much later when, everything was on Twitter or whatnot. But it's the NFL handling the situation as well as possible, in your opinion.
Yeah. I mean, what can they do? Like I said, it's something that's, it's rare to happen, but all indications show that like everyone reacted well, right? So they were able to diagnose the situation, that it was a cardiac issue, not like a head trauma issue. They were able to see that he was struggling to breathe on his own, and obviously they administered like CPR. I think they did everything that they needed to, and it's I heard quite a few people say this. If you were to be anywhere when that type of injury happens, that's one of the safest places to be because there's so many doctors there.
Yeah.
So he was, in that sense, he was fortunate where he was at. He was able to get immediate care, and they were hopefully, knock on wood, they were able to just save his life.
Yeah, I think I know that there's so many precautionary measures that you take, and I personally believe that the EMTs on the field saved his life. I mean, if that was anybody else, and I'm not trying to knock 911, But if you don't get medical attention right there and then,
especially with that specific injury, because it's from what I've read, and I forgot what it's called. I should probably know the name of it by now, but you collapse. Like, so after it happens, it's automatic. Your heart just
stops pumping, basically.
Exactly, right? Yeah. It doesn't beat normally, and you collapse.
So your brain doesn't get any oxygen.
If you don't have immediate CPR, immediate treatment to make sure the blood is pumping to your brain, even if you revive, you can have significant damage if you survive it at all. So he's fortunate. Anybody else, like you said, you can be in a car driving and get into an accident, and that can happen to you. It hits your chest, and it can cause all sorts of injuries to your heart, including cardiac arrest. And if you don't have someone right there to administer CPR, that could be it.
Yeah, and I think I want to say it's very easy to say thoughts and prayers, right? Because you want to have this person, Hamlin, on your heart at all times, thinking positive vibes at him at all times. And I even saw that people were donating to his toy drive.
Oh, yeah, over $3 million last time I checked.
I just, I always question, even if he survives this, which is a horrible injury, the quality of life. That's the thing that I always look at, especially, something happened to me, which, in the past it had, but I always think what is going to be the quality of life? Because it's one thing to survive this, right? It's another thing, will he ever play again? Will he ever walk again? I mean, from what I read last update was, he was breathing through a tube because he couldn't breathe himself. So it's you feel for that family, because things are going to change.
Yeah, but he can recover. So again, I've just based on what I've seen from doctors on social media. Again, the quicker that you get immediate treatment, the less likely for significant damage to your brain and other organs. So, assuming he got the care he needed right then and there, it may turn out where he's able to fully recover and have a quality life. Maybe not playing football again, but still be able to walk, talk, communicate, do whatever he needs to. So at this point, he's in critical condition. I think I know he's receiving oxygen
around the what does that say? Around the hour healthcare.
Yeah. And they're wanting to make sure that he can breathe on his own. They're not there yet. But he's in critical but stable condition. And we'll see what happens. You just got to keep him in your prayers, keep his family, in your prayers, and just hope for a speedy recovery.
See, my thing is I always think of, I know I don't want to think bad thoughts, but I always think about the worst case scenario in the situation. And I always feel yes, I think he's grateful that he survived. It's just things what is going to be his quality of life. Hopefully he makes it through. He walks again. The same thing with that linebacker you guys had.
Yeah, Shazier.
Yes, Shazier. So let's hope that the same thing happens with Hamlin.
Yeah, let me just say, sports in general, I don't care what sport you play, there's always risk for injury, right? Especially with contact sports, obviously. There's people who have died playing sports. It's not abnormal, right? People in boxing, for example, have died in the ring. You've had people playing football who've died mostly from heat strokes, those type of injuries. So death in sports is not rare. This specific issue that happened, this incident, is rare. It's uncommon. And to see someone, having to have CPR administered on the field in front of millions of people, that's not common. And I think everyone was shaken up, just watching it. And, I'm glad we were able to all come together now. And this seems to be unifying everyone. You still got some trolls out there who want to talk about like the vaccine and all that crap. That has nothing to do with this injury, but for the most part,
whoa, that's going far.
Yeah, for the most part, everyone's united in praying, for his health, and doesn't matter, what team you root for or whatever. I think people realize it's bigger than football, so it's gotten us closer together.
Yeah, I think that overall, the overall, yes, people die all the time, and injuries happen all the time. But what makes this one so special, it is the timing. The timing is what makes it so special. It happened on a Monday night. It happened on week 17. It happened. Two top teams were playing on national TV. That's what makes it this. If this happened to a nobody that we don't know during practice, we'd just be like, you know what? Too bad for that guy, man. That's horrible what happened. But the fact that it happened in national TV, it happened to not just Bill fans, but football fans altogether. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's going to be a lot of, backlash from the trolls, backlash from, Skip Bayless thing. And it's just terrible. I think this is a time, like you mentioned, just come together and hope for the best for this guy.
Yep.
The other thing that we want to talk about in the NFL news is Derek Carr being benched. Why is this shocking to you, Ron?
Well, I don't know if I should say it's shocking. I feel, though, that with him being benched, they're placing the blame for this season solely on Derek Carr. That's what that's the sense I'm getting. With 2 games left, nothing to play for. Why do you bench your starting quarterback? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the bench them because, number one, they don't want to pay him. That's number one. The Raiders are being super duper cheap.
So they don't want to pay him next year?
Yes, that is. They don't want any of those incentives to kick in, any of that stuff because basically the Raiders, the rumor is, and this is through the rumor mill, is that the Raiders are not cashing in on everything. I don't know what that means. I don't know what Al Davis' son is doing, Mark Davis. Whatever reason, they're like being cheap. If they weren't cheap, they would even fire Josh if they knew that he's on the contract. But
so I don't believe that fully.
Well, that's the rumors. That's the rumors.
Yeah. Well, they're in a situation where I don't know what they know, if they know what they're doing, because on one end, you just went out and got Devontae, right? You just gave him that huge contract. But here you are saying, okay, maybe Carr's not the quarterback of the future, so you want to give up on that contract. But is your team good enough where you can bring in a veteran and make the playoffs, or are you looking at a full rebuild? I don't think they have the answer to that right now.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't place the blame on Derek Carr for this season. I think the defense has a lot to do with not for them not being good this year. So basically, there was so many games that they were up 17 points, and the lead disappeared for whatever reason. So I don't want to say no, it's Derek Carr's fault that the season's gone to Araby, but at the same time, he had a arguably number one receiver, arguably number two running back, number one
running back,
based on rushing, right? A very, very good tight end.
He was hurt most of the year, though.
But still a good tight end. And you had different receivers of this line. You had Renfro. You had that guy that torched the pads the other day, Holland. So he wasn't lacking weapons.
Listen, I'm not saying he has no, this is, he has no fault. Of course, he didn't play well, right? So he needs to own that part of it. But I don't know if, I feel like at this point, benching him, is like placing blame, on him. Right? If I'm the coach, ride it out, right? You got nothing to lose, right? And nothing to play for. Just ride it out. Let Carr finish the season. Then make, in the off season, make some decisions about what your path is as an organization. Like I said, are you rebuilding? And if you are rebuilding, are you doing that with Carr as your quarterback or without him? That's what they need to figure out. Don't do that mid-season, or especially at the end of the season with 2 games left to play. That shows a little bit of dysfunction to me.
A little bit. It's a lot of dysfunction. But as I mentioned before, Raiders don't want to pay him. So what's going to happen is, this is what I expect to happen. Derek Carr is not going to play this game, right? Or week 17, week 18.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's going to ask to be traded, because I think he has like a year or 2 years left in his contract, but he's not going to want to play. They just benched him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to trade for, more draft picks, whatever the case may be. And Derek Carr can be a better player somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that he's trash, but obviously I'm not saying the Raiders want to pay him.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to, because you already said that. They have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
So why even bench him?
Yeah.
So that's my speculation of how I see this playing out. And I think that's the only reason why you would do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking at his numbers, he has 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He has over 3,500 yards passing. So he's definitely putting the ball in the end zone. So he's definitely not a top 5 quarterback.
He's not playing like it, that's for sure. And he's not a top 5 regardless. But
yeah, he's not a top 5. So I think what the Raiders are saying, hey, we can do this because, number one, we're dysfunctional. And number two, Derek Carr, he's only 31 years old. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he doesn't have game. So, right. Yeah, so that's why I don't feel bad for Derek Carr.
Where do you think he ends up?
Well, Carolina needs a quarterback, right? And what the rumor is Harbaugh might be going there.
I have no idea. He might be going there. Denver, who knows?
Who knows? But I feel like there's so many teams that need quarterbacks. Why wouldn't you take Derek Carr?
Commanders.
Yep.
Colts. This is right up the Colts alley, right? They like veteran quarterbacks. I don't know what's going to happen with Matty Ice next year. But Derek Carr will land in his feet. It's just a matter of where does he want to play?
Yeah, where does he want to play? Yep. That's basically what it comes down to.